Well, let me tell you a little something about me. When it's Saturday night, I need to blow off some steam. One, two, three, four. Well, I've been rolling in since the clock came Monday morning. From the end of the week, I'm bound to blow. We're walking to the honky tonk like a pack of wolves now. Order of a round of drops and it's away we go.
This is Equipment Talk from iRay. And again, we got a special guest on here today, and it's Tom Henry. How are you doing?
Doing real good. I'm a very special guest.
He is very special. You know, the one thing we did, we do the Equipment Talk, and Tom here has been around for, golly, how many years you been in just kind of working around equipment and everything else?
Well, that's way too many years, but probably all of 50, 60 years
Wow.
around equipment.
Yeah, I think you were still in diapers when Dad had you out there.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
so 7 years old.
Were you 7 when you were out there working?
Ran my first dozer at 7.
Well, you ran your first dozer. Did that have pony motors on back then, didn't it? Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yep.
So, you know, in over the years that you've been working with equipment and everything else, what have you seen the most changes in what type of equipment, and I mean that you've used or that you've been around the most that you've kind of thought were unique, and then some of them that you probably haven't thought they were so unique?
Well, just about every piece I say nowadays, if it's cat, Komatsu, deer, whatever, there's almost no difference in my opinion, in like the operator station and stuff. But like the main components and stuff, like I still say Caterpillar leads the pack in it.
You think it's
And
because because that they're
just
number one in the industry, or
Well,
they
there's
just
a lot of different reasons. I think probably one of the main reasons, worldwide parts availability, worldwide, everything is there whenever you want it for them. And then they're just Caterpillar.
Yeah, well, you know that you remember how Cat name started, don't you?
Oh yeah,
Okay, well, I don't have to tell you then, do we?
no,
It was Best and Hope together. Remember that?
yeah.
Yeah. So the
But
question I have for you, Tom, is that you say Caterpillar's leading in the country. Do you think that the leading reason for that is that they have parts and or equipment, or what's the leading reason for them to be number one?
well, I believe
Your thoughts?
the quality of the machines is probably the number one factor, and then probably the next contributing factor would be their worldwide parts availability and service availability. That's what I think brings them, I think, heads over heels over everyone else, in my opinion,
Well,
anyway. But
Caterpillar's
like
been
like I say, just about every machine when you get in and run it now, it's almost all the same. Yeah, it's real nice and everything, but how does it stand up?
to the test, right?
Right?
What kind of test do you give them?
I should be getting some money back from Cat for this, but
Well, it isn't a sponsored ad yet there, Tom.
that's the way. Just my opinion,
Yeah.
and stuff has evolved just so tremendously over the years from like everything's so operator friendly now compared to like the old stuff where
So are you talking about the pony engine stuff?
yeah, pony engine stuff, knuckle buster graders, cable dozers, just everything is so far has come such a long way in my lifetime that I was just thinking on the way down here that now I think the next step will be where you actually won't sit in the machine. You'll probably sit in your pickup or somewhere, and you could probably possibly run 2 or 3 machines at once.
Yeah, that's
You know,
autonomous. Yep. And
if you had,
we've been talking about autonomous and what kind of programs and what people are doing to maintain or manage that piece of it. We did have a customer that actually he's got stuff on this next auction. His son was working with him with equipment all the time and everything else, and he went to college and he's gotten a degree in there, so he's actually an engineer programmer for autonomous. So he's
right,
writing the programs for autonomous.
sure. Well, if you say if you were digging a ditch or something and you had all the grades put into the machine, for
Program.
sure an excavator can go run itself. That's right around the corner. But you could probably sit there and you'd basically be watching one, and maybe you'd have to run the other one a little bit. But I think
So you're thinking you could get one guy to do about 4 jobs for you.
Probably 2 for sure, I'm thinking.
At least two.
Or just think about, an asphalt roller or something like that, where it's
Pretty simple, forward and back kind of deal, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's right around the corner for us. Because the biggest thing facing most people, and I'm sure everybody listening out there knows that it's an operator, truck driver shortage on everything.
Yeah.
So that's everybody's problem out there nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't care who you run into, they're looking for help.
Well, the one thing that we were talking about earlier in some of our other podcasts were that, back when you were young, you said 7 years old, you were on a dozer. Well, if your dad was working construction union, do you think you'd be on a dozer today?
I don't think so, no.
At 7 years old? Heck, I don't think you'd be on that dozer at 17 years old.
No.
It's a whole different animal. And when, like your father started out, he was running his own equipment, doing his own jobs, right?
Right.
And, and I'm sure that, that there's younger generation now that some of their grandfathers that were doing that, now they got unions and all these other things. So they're not going to be in there.
Yeah, there's a lot, no doubt, many more things to deal with nowadays.
Yeah. So we're talking about some of the electric that's going on, for the dozers and excavators. And look at even the cars today, they've got electric steering on them. They took away the power steering pump to give them better mileage, right?
Yeah.
Because it's pulling it down. So how do you feel about like the electric? Have you seen that, you feel has really been, moving forward in the industry?
I've seen electric Bobcat up close. I didn't get a chance to operate
it's
one.
Doosan now, you mean?
Yeah.
Because Doosan kind of bought Bobcat out now?
Yeah.
Or they're partnered or whatever they are.
But the way I understand it, in my opinion, these have a tremendous way to go yet because I guess you can operate it for 8 hours, but you can't really work it hard for maybe 2 hours. And you're
is that
done.
right?
So I think the battery technology has a long ways to go.
Well, they were talking something about solid state batteries. And solid state batteries, they're supposed to be way ahead of even the new batteries that are coming out, right? And with that being said, if we can store more power or more kilowatts, right?
Yeah, somehow the machine is going to have to be the battery, like the loader arms and wherever you can, a solid component could be a battery in order to get enough life out of to operate for an 8-hour shift, I think.
Right. I think that, we were talking also about, where is the electric really necessary and where is the let's call it alternative fuel, because diesel, the only reason that we're using diesel is because they have that much more power per square inch on an engine or anything else, right? Because they actually have more compression. So they fire differently. There's more BTUs in 1 gallon of diesel than there is in a gallon of gasoline, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole process that we're kind of trying to figure out. And does it have to be diesel? Could it be nuclear? Could it be, even hydro? Hydropower is basically electrolysis, taking water and electrolysis through it. So you've got hydrogen over the gas.
Yeah, I'm sure there's many, many different ways it could be done. But, this, as the world sits right now, that's how we're all geared up for diesel fuel and gasoline, and that's where we're at. But
well, where do you think you'll see it in 10 years? What's your vision for 10 years from here? Or even 5 years right now?
10 years, I'm guessing that there'll be a big jump in probably electric. They'll come along quite a ways pretty fast.
You really think our grid's going to handle all that? Because now you still got to charge them all.
Well, as long as we keep hauling the coal to the power plant to get green energy.
Well, we were talking
we'll be all right.
We're talking about even like the nuclear, not the nuclear, but Monticello's got nuclear, but Becker's got
to switch to natural gas.
They're supposed to do, but I heard they're looking at selling. They're not looking at moving that way because so much controversy of moving them gas pipelines in. And if a rupture happened or this or that, the liability behind it, there's so much involved in this whole works that.
Yeah, I would imagine it's more than a 6-inch gas line going there.
Yeah, probably a 36-inch, right? But so anyways, all I'm saying is that, how do you think that we're going to go more towards electric? I get that because I
think certain smaller machines like maybe mini hose, Bobcats will probably advance in electric, but like a bigger machine, I just don't see it happening yet.
Well, we did see that some of them have the electric on, like on the turntable. So they'll go partial electric hydraulics on the hydraulics. And
Possible,
that takes...
But I just don't see it standing up like a a normal machine would.
Use too much pressure, you think?
I think you're gonna have to start out at bobcats, skid loaders, mini hose, the smaller stuff. If that gets proven to work, then we'll probably get somewhere with it.
Well, they do make in the Caterpillar, they're putting electric drives on the high tracks even now. And they're using diesel power to power the drive engines. And drive power, I mean, it's, an electric's pretty strong.
That's how the mine trucks are. But
There you go. They're not small.
but you're still not getting away from the diesel though.
So what part of but I mean, you're going smaller, so you're using smaller consumption, so you're not using it like you were, right?
Well, I don't think energy can be created or destroyed, so it takes so much to do the same job. So I don't think there's any advantage in that. In my opinion, you run a diesel generator, do that. It might be less trouble with it.
But just think about this: crushers. Are crushers running on diesel power, or they run on electric?
Well, somehow something's creating the electricity to get to them.
Right. So there's
Whether
a
that be
diesel engine.
whether that be a gen set, a V16 Detroit or something burning a lot of fuel an hour, or if it's coming off a power line,
But if-
something's creating it.
But if you can create it maybe in a evener flow, right? It can take some of the heat off from the grid, and then the other part is you're going to use some off from the diesel powered engines, part of it. And I know that you've seen many crushing spreads, I'm sure that, and you've seen where you got a 750 kW, which would run you'd think it'd run a city about, right?
Right.
And they're using it on one big crushing spread,
Right.
So there's a lot of ways of looking at it. I think that, like I said, if they got electric golf carts, right? And they run them all day long going around and stuff. But I think that, like you said, if they're not being utilized hard and heavy, it's just like taking a pickup. A pickup, it's going to take more energy to run that pickup if it's pulling a load than it is if it's going to run a car or
Right.
or a little bike or something to that nature, right?
Right. It'll be interesting the next 10 years what we'll see, I guess.
So is there anything that you see in the industry that could have been done or should have been done that in what you've been doing and where you're at that our viewers would like to hear about or maybe get your opinion on?
Oh, I would say probably in the truck department, heavy truck department, there should have been, a few changes there.
In what manner?
Possibly those could be an electric too, also with the skid loader and the mini hose. I think those will come a long ways. Um,
They show some of these cyber movies where the trailers have got drive motors
Yeah.
on their wheels.
Warren Buffett has made a tremendous investment in electric buses in California and stuff, and the batteries are made in China.
Oh wow!
So from that point of
Are
view,
they lithium?
I'm
type
not
batteries,
sure what
you know?
they are, but
Okay.
It'll be interesting, like we're saying,
Yeah.
what'll
Well,
happen.
they've been running propane, in these buses and trying to go green, all the way.
One story I remember my dad told me he was in Australia in World War II, and he was on a bus and it killed, and then he got out with the guy, and the guy went back there and just poked up the coke. It was like coal that gives off gas, kind of like acetylene,
Oh wow!
and poked it up a little bit, and off they went again. So there's definitely different ways to do stuff if people are put under pressure to do it. But
Different ways of creating the alternative energy.
right,
And I know that they've been talking that way for quite some time. But yeah, there's it's kind of cool. There's a lot of neat stuff out there. I don't think that everybody's going to have a wind, generator in their yard, right?
no,
And then all these solar panels, where we don't get as much sun. There's going to be, like take them up north in the North Pole or something, where they don't get as much sun at times, right?
right,
So you're not going to pull electric up there like you would. Maybe wind, might be windy up there. You don't know that. But then you're also looking at, the backup. You need backup, right? It's no different than us when we put electric at our house. We put electric boilers in, right, to heat the floors and everything else. And they say that you get cheaper kilowatts by going off peak, and we did that. But our backup is basically natural gas, and if you don't have backup, they won't let you put it in.
Oh, yeah.
But you could put natural gas in, but you can't put the opposite way because of the alternative energy isn't as reliable. Maybe something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So good talk. Thank you, Tom. I think that, we do appreciate you coming down here. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell our viewers at all?
Oh, keep up the good work. I'll just say, Ray does a good job. Everybody keep coming to him. He's number one.
No. Well, we thank you, Tom. You've been in the industry for a lot of years, and I know you've worked with your dad and your brothers and everybody else, and you guys are still in the equipment part of the industry, and we hope we have some good changes.
Okay. Thank
right.
you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Again, this is Equipment Talk from iRay. Thank you again.